Hello, my name is Teacher Matt, and I want to welcome you to my classroom and talk with you about the interview process with VIPKID today. The interview process can be a little bit overwhelming if you've never done something like this before, or even if you're pretty comfortable with being on webcams. Working for this company and interviewing with them can seem a little bit heavy, so I want to make sure that you're prepared with some tools, some of the things I use to acquire the job, and some of the things that I've learned since I've gotten the job with VIPKID. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put in your basic information on the website. Once that is submitted, they will contact you about setting up an interview. The interview lasts about 25 minutes or less. Many times the person interviewing you will come on the webcam and meet you in the classroom on the VIPKID website, and they will begin to discuss with you some basic things. How are you today? What is your reason for wanting to work with VIPKID? Basic interview questions, and for me, there were very few. That wasn't the hard part. The difficult part, and the thing you're going to want to focus on, is preparing yourself for the class material. You will have to teach a pretend class to your interviewer, and that class will last, I think, about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and you're pretending as if you're teaching a 5-year-old child who is pretty new to English. I have worked many VIPKID classes now, and I have found that the material sometimes is a little difficult to teach. Other times it's very easy to teach and nearly teaches itself. One of the nice things about VIPKID is that they prepare everything for you. The words, the screen, the sentences, all of the pictures are in the PowerPoint for the classroom. Your job is to bring it to life, to make it exciting. One of the comments that I've gotten from parents over and over again is my ability to draw the students in. Okay, and so I want to talk with you about some of the techniques that I use. During your interview, you're going to want to give your interviewer a taste of your teaching ability. So that's another thing I'm going to talk about today on this recording. All right, so once you've gotten your basic info in and your interview is set up, you will get information about a practice PowerPoint to prepare you for the interview. You'll need to look over that very closely and very carefully. You will need to practice out loud how to teach that. If you have teaching experience, it will be a little bit more natural. If you don't have teaching experience or you don't have a degree in teaching, then it will take extra practice, okay? And I have been a teacher for over 7 years, and so I will give you a few strategies to get you the job, and then you will have to work in your own body to try to figure out your way to do things. Okay, so step one, when you get to the interview, be very kind, smile. Don't be afraid to smile and loosen up a little bit. Number two, when you're in the classroom and you're teaching the pretend 5-year-old, ask, "How are you?" Or, "How are you today?" Hopefully by the time you teach a 5-year-old, they have learned how to respond to that. Sometimes they haven't, but in the interview, they will probably respond fine or some shy way. A lot of times with my students, they'll say, "I'm great, thank you." That's my more advanced student. Or, "I'm doing well, how are you?" The next step after you ask them about their day is I would recommend bringing out something that is unique to you, that helps you be a good teacher. My favorite thing to do after the "how are you" question is to bring out my guitar and sing them a song. "Great, Sally, I'm so glad to hear you're doing great today. I want to sing you a song with my guitar. I like to sing." Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? I'm happy, happy, happy. Sally's happy, happy, happy. This allows me to connect with the child a little bit deeper. If you don't play an instrument, then more smiles, find something you do very well, and present that if it's appropriate at the time. Okay? Then you're going to move into the lesson. During the lesson, you're going to need to focus on using what's called TPR. In VIP Kid world, TPR means using your hands or some props around you to further dig into the material that you're teaching. Okay, if you just sit and teach without using any movements, no smiles, it's going to be very boring for the child. 25 minutes will seem like an hour or more. Liven up your lesson. Use your hands, but use them efficiently. Don't just move them the whole time, because then the child will learn to ignore that, and then your TPR will not work any further. Another thing you're going to need to have is a whiteboard. Okay, mine is very small like this. Some people have a big giant one behind them. I find this one easier because I can just pick it up and write on it without having to turn my back around to the student. Another thing you'll need to know as you're presenting the material is if the kid gets stuck, present it in a different way or repeat it once and then try to present it in a different way. For instance, let's spell dog. D-O-G. This might confuse a 5-year-old. I didn't give a lot of interaction. They don't know exactly what I said, probably. But if I use my whiteboard and I say, Sally, let's spell and say dog. And I write it D-O-G. Dog. Can you say D-O-G? This gives them a visual. Also, don't be afraid of wait time. Don't just run through it. Can you spell dog? D-O-G, dog. It's going to take them some time to process the word, so slow it down. Sally, please spell one more time. D-O-G, dog. Awesome job. After that, if that was especially challenging for her, I would give her a star. The VIP Kid classroom is built in with stars. There are 5 above the student's picture video. And if a student has struggled with a word and they did really well, I will give them a star. You're going to want to positively reinforce the students as much as possible. If a student has had a perfect page, he did that page perfectly, I will give them a star. I always try to give 5 stars. Only once or twice in my 7 months have I had to take a star away. These students are, by the most part, very eager to learn the material. They like interacting with us teachers. If you make it fun, they want to come back all the time and talk with you. They will set up time after time with you as their teacher. And so make it fun. Another thing you should do is make them laugh a little bit if you can. One of my favorite hats for these lessons is this little silly monkey hat. If I have a newer student and one of the early lessons is about cabs, hats, and fan, I will throw this hat on during the lesson and do this. Okay, the kids love it. They just laugh a little bit. Another thing you should be prepared with is to have some props. Okay, here's a few of my props. I'm not going to try to show you the whole collection over here, but especially for your interview, look at the animals or any of the objects in the interview PowerPoint. Go and get those objects. It might be something small like a mouse. Okay, this is Mickey Mouse, so that might confuse them. If it's, maybe get a different mouse if that's the case. What if my animal is a cat? Here's my cat. This allows me to give them a visual and allows me to interact with them a bit more. Okay, and so use that wait time. If you're nervous, take a deep breath. Okay, everybody gets nervous. I explain this to my students every school year. I also teach music, and so everybody gets nervous, especially when someone else is watching you, or many people. So take a deep breath, calm down, and go slow. One of the byproducts of being nervous is going too quickly. So make sure you slow down, speak slowly, speak with efficiency. Use your hands and TPR when necessary, but as frequently as you feel comfortable and purposefully. Also, when you're listening for the student, you may have noticed I hold up my hand. This is the body language version of, please say that back. Okay? You don't want to use a ton of words during your interview. The more words you use for a small kid, the more they're going to get confused. You have to balance a few words with the body language. Can you say dog? And you wait. Okay, so those are some of the tips regarding the interview. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is props and positive reinforcement. During my interview, I used my whiteboard to provide positive reinforcement. The most basic one that they like you to use is the smiley face. You draw a face, draw a couple of eyes, and you draw a big smiley mouth. And in that mouth, when a student does a great job, they will receive teeth. Now, I would recommend doing this for your interview. This gives you something, takes a little bit of extra time. You're giving the student immediate feedback other than the stars. Okay? And I would use the stars when they do something especially good. This is for any time they do something awesome. Sally, you just spelled dog. Awesome. Sally, you just circled the picture. Great job. You get another tooth. So, then at the end of the lesson, count the teeth. Tell them how wonderful they've done. Smile, say goodbye. Okay? Now, let's talk about props and other props that you might use as you get the job and move on into the position. I use props some. My physical props, I use them a little bit. I also have a application called ManyCam. This is something you can research more when you are actually in the job. I love this app. I can do things like, if we're working on food that day, hey, let's look at some broccoli. Let's eat the broccoli. So I can use electronic props, and I really like that a lot better. And so as you get the job and you move forward, maybe look into ManyCam. It's an application. You do have to get a little used to it. I would not recommend it during your interview. It takes a little bit of back and forth. You've got to multitask is the word I'm looking for. You have to be able to teach at the same time that you're able to select a prop. They also have these pretty cool props that can go on your head, and these make the students laugh. I like these. I can get a little bobby hat. Oop, that one's too big. Let's see if it can read my face a little bit better. These little glasses. Ooh, let me see. Normally it reads my face better than this. Oh, there it goes. And so that's a little bit fun. One of my favorite ones is this little dog. He's so ugly. And the kids just love it. They crack up. We have a wonderful time. And that's one of the things I love about VIPKID. It's so much fun. All right, so those are the basic pointers. The only thing I have to tell you beyond that is if you get the interview and they decide to move you forward, you will probably encounter what's called mock lesson 1 and mock lesson 2. This is kind of an extension of the interview, but it also says you pretty much have the job. Just work really hard toward these other second and third interviews, and then we'll promote you into the VIPKID program. One more thing I wanted to say. If you get the job, the interview moves quickly. They want you to interview fast. They move you through the process quickly. After the interview is over, be prepared for about 1 to 2 weeks to just be checking your schedule. No one is going to sign up, most likely. It takes a little time for them on the back end to get everything in order, and then for students to see you become available. You will eventually get students, okay? Don't worry, but it takes time. There are so many students, and they keep asking for more and more teachers. So you will get students eventually, and you will probably get regular students. Be patient. That first 2 weeks after you get the job is it can be stressful because you're staring at your schedule going, where? They also have a forum that you can find that any problems that you have, many of the teachers have already encountered. You can read about those. Okay, so those are my basic tips. Let me just summarize before I leave today. Number one, basic information. Set up the interview. Number two, prepare for that interview. Don't be afraid to practice your TPR out loud, taking your hand to your ear as often as you can when you're ready to hear the person speaking. If the interviewer makes a mistake, you must correct it. In America, we're kind of used to hearing something maybe the wrong way and letting that pass to think about maybe correcting something bigger. But in China, they want everything corrected. You're going to have to figure out the timing for that. Okay, maybe you correct it right away if there's a small pause. Maybe you correct it a little bit later when there's a small break. But either way, I would recommend underlining the word or circling the picture, correcting it before you move on. And repeat. Correct it 3 or 4 times. If you have extra time, come back to it. Repeat it again. Okay, so those are some helpful tips on your interview. And make sure you stand out. Do something exciting, special. Have an awesome prop to show the interviewer that says, I'm ready and I stand out. I play my guitar, so that helped me stand out in my interview. And that's about it for now. I think that's enough information for your interview process. That's a lot already. Once you pass your interview and you get to those mock lessons, it's just an extension of the interview. So if you have any questions or you'd like to comment, please follow my link below. I'm going to put my email address in if you'd like to ask me questions that way, and I will put the application link in the information as well. Thank you all for coming and visiting today. Bye-bye.